Greetings, it's Iain from RTO here. Welcome to another live album ranking, which means we've got through to Friday again. And today we're going to look at a prog band, and it's Curved Air. Formed in 1970, a band of artists that come from all backgrounds, including classical trained, folk, electronic sound, and we had this wonderful fusion of progressive rock, folk rock and fusion music. Many people have been through this band, but the main players and some big names we got Sonia Christina has always been there on the vocals, the wonderful Daryl Ray, Francis Monkman, Florian Pilgrim-Milska, Mike Wedgwood, the wonderful Eddie Johnson, and of course Stuart Copeland of the Police. This is where he sort of cut his teeth, as they say. They've over their period they've released 4 live albums. They're all very good. It's very hard when you have a small catalogue of live and they're all pretty damn good albums. So we're going to have a quick look at these great live albums. So coming in at number 4, we have one of these Live at the BBC compilations. Came out in 1995. And it's taken from 3 sessions. The first 3 tracks come from the 10th of November 1970, 5th of January 1971, 9th of March 1977, and then there's a concert at the Paris Theatre in London. So playing on here, we have Sonia Christina on the vocals, Daryl Way on violin and vocals, Francis Monkman plays guitar and keyboards on the first 8 tracks. Guitars is Mick Jacks. Drums is Florian Pilkington-Milska on the first 8 tracks, and then Stuart Copeland does the rest. Bass on 3 tracks is Rob Martin. Ian Ayo does some bass, and Trevor Reeves. So this opens up with the session, and it's the wonderful Vivaldi written by Daryl Ray. Great piece of music. I've got a version by Sky, of course, which I love, and that's from Air Conditioning. So we stay. A lot of these are off Air Conditioning in the second album, so the next one's off Air Conditioning, and it's the wonderful Propositions and What Happens When You Blow Yourself. Brilliant track, very well put together. It's a Francis Monkman song, very intricate stuff. Staying with Air Condition, we have the wonderful It Happened Today. I like how good these are. It just, plug in and go in a studio live. Brilliant. Your Mother in Style from the second album, another fantastic song. Situations, I love that track. Really good version on here. Blind Man from Air Conditioning. Thinking on the Floor from Air Conditioning. More from Air Conditioning. We got Stretch, another great track. Start Naked, don't know where that's the Stuart Copeland thing. Woman on a One Night Stand for Midnight Wire, great version of that. Stuart Copeland on the drums on that one. Midnight Wire, Hot and Bothered from Airborne's wonderful. Another one from Midnight Wire, The Fool, to end the little album. I love some of these BBC packages. It's the great sessions and a gig from the legendary Paris Theatre. I like how it features Francis on here, Stuart. You've got all the main players on this album, and I really enjoy this one. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, coming in number 3, it's one of the more recent albums, and it's called Live Atmosphere. It was recorded on the 2010-11 tour. This came out in 2012. On here we've got Sonia on lead, Florian on the drums, Chris Harris plays the bass and backing vocals, Kit Morgan on guitar, Robert Norton on keyboards, and Paul Sachs on violin. So they composed this little atmospheric overture to start the concert, and they go into Marie Antoinette from Phasmagoria. A wonderful track, and it still sounds good, and Sonia still sounds as good as she did in a day. pop back to the debut album now for a little bit of Propositions. Still sounds good even in 2012. Then we have Easy from Haircut, brilliant little track that is. Hide and Seek from Air Condition, always good to listen to. Screw from Air Condition, the title track Phantasmagora, I do love that. We stay with that album for Melinda, fantastic version of that. Go to the second album, called Second Album, for a little bit of Everdance, another really cool track. And then we have one of my favourites off that second album, Backstreet Love. Bit of Stretch from the debut, Air Condition, and then It Happened Today, which is brilliant. A solid album. It was nice to see Florian back on the drums on this. I think they sound really good. It doesn't matter who's in it. It's one of them bands. It doesn't matter who's playing. The sound's good, and as it's still got Sonia singing, it sounds fantastic. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, coming at number 2 is an album called Alive, and it came out in 1990, and it's recording from the Curved Air reunion gig on September 23rd, 1990 at the Town and Country Club, and it reunited Sonia, Francis, Florian and Daryl 16 years after the last time they played together. So joining them is Rob Martin, who does the bass on Vivaldi. So we have this little intro called 20 Years On, intro written by Francis and Daryl. Great to see him doing a new little piece. It's really good, sort of sets the atmosphere. And then we have It Happened Today, straight off the debut album, a brilliant version. It looked, considering these are, they've had a bit of practice obviously, but it was straight in, get the overalls on and get out there and do it, and it's a fine performance of that song. Stretch as well, it's just fantastic to hear these great musicians playing together again. Then we get Christina, a great song written by a Hide and Seek written by Sonia and Daryl. Oh, it's a fantastic song, one of my favourites off that album. Then we have Marianne Antoinette again, really good. A little bit of Melinda from both tracks are from Phantasmagora. Back to the debut album for Situations. Then we flip over for 2 tracks from the second album, Young Mother and You Know. Fly back to the debut for Propositions, fantastic. The wonderful Vivaldi, absolutely killer version on here. Then we get the second album from Francis is great, Everdance. Got a bit of Backstreet Love as well to end the album. Great seeing them all performing together after all these years. It's a very good live album. Sonia just sounds on fire throughout this album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.3. But my number 1 album is their very first live album, and it's just called Curved Air Live. And it was also on a reunion tour in December 1974, released in 1975. And playing on here, and it was recorded at 2 universities, Cardiff University and Bristol Polytechnic. So it's what I call the sort of classic lineup of most of the big names. Sonia's on here, Daryl's on here, Francis, Florian and Philip Conn does the bass. So as you can say, these are mostly off the first 3 albums. We open up with It Happened Today, wonderful version, probably the best version I've got of this. Just like Marie Antoinette from Phantasmagoria, that's a brilliant version. Backstreet's Love is fantastic on here. Propositions is just top drawer. Young Mother from second album is brilliant, and then absolutely killer version of Vivaldi, probably the best version I've got of this. It sort of goes into other little bits of classical music. It's just a wonderful piece of music. Then we have Everdance to end this album. Okay, classic lineup, classic songs, only a single album, but it is just brilliant. Pity it was not a double, but it's still a great live album. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. So there we go. There's a little bit of prog for you on a sunny morning here in Northampton, because it's absolutely gorgeous out there. Big blue skies, not a cloud in sight. Lyrics from a certain song. I hope you've enjoyed that one. I'll be back with a brand new album, and it's an band that you've probably never really heard of. They're called Honeymoon Suite. They're from Canada, and they've released their first album since 2008. So I'll see you for that. Bye for now.